Hello and welcome back to the Airing It Out podcast. My name is Sam and I'm your host for today and most other days. Today we're going to be talking about reflections on growth. But before we jump into the episode, if you could consider giving us a like, a favourite, a subscribe, or even more, a share on any of your socials, that would really support us. But if you feel like supporting us in a different way, please consider donating to our Buy Me a Coffee. It's a way that you can support us in doing more of what we love to do and what we want to do more of. We want to get this podcast seen and potentially helping as many people as possible, and your contributions are a way of helping us do that. So, without further ado, find us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Let's get into the episode. So regardless of where we are in our journeys, our problems remain relative. We grow and so do our problems, whether it be emotional, monetary, physical, whatever it is. You get over one thing and soon enough on the horizon there'll be another. And this can be difficult. I'll let you in on something at the moment. I'm personally struggling with a few things, mentally and physically, and to do with my life as it is. And it's difficult. At the moment, it's difficult because whenever you're in the thick of it, you think, oh, fuck, here I am. And it feels like, you know you've been in this situation before, but it feels like this time it's different, or this time, oh, God, it feels worse, or it's because you're in it. And it's times like these where it's important to take that pause, to take a minute and to look back. And in that looking back, we gain an appreciation for how far we've come. What it is that we've overcome, how many things, how many difficulties, adversities, whatever it is that you've been through to get to where you are now. Life has its ups and downs, and we can always enjoy the downhills, but inevitably there will be an uphill. And when you're on that uphill, you think, fuck, I wish things were going down at the moment. But that's not how it is. We have to live through this, and we have to get through this, and if we were given the solution to our problems quick and easy, then perhaps they wouldn't have been worth having to begin with, because there's no growth there. There's a quote from C.S. Lewis: "Experience, the most brutal of teachers, but you learn. My God, do you learn." And what I glean from that, and is what contributing to this episode, is that it's in facing that adversity. It's in appreciating that, yes, you might be going through it now, and if you're not going through it now, then at some point, sooner or later, there will probably be adversity for you to meet and choose how you overcome it. But it's taking that look back and seeing how much it is that you've overcome, the adversities that you thought once, wow, how did I do that? How did I get from there to here? How did I overcome that hill? And what did you learn from it? Because all we are is the sum of our actions. And ultimately, when we're faced with adversity, we have a choice. We can either ignore it, pretend that it's not there and hope that it goes away. A little insight, it won't go away. It will just manifest into something uglier and bigger than it was when you could have faced it to begin with. Or we can face it, which is difficult. And it might hurt, it might sting, and it might be uncomfortable. But when you overcome it and you have that new adversity on the horizon, you'll have learnt from it. You'll have learnt from that previous one. You'll have understood better how to overcome it, and you'll be more armed to face the new one. So for the rest of the episode, we're going to look at growth through 3 different lenses: the past, the present, and the future. And it might be an interesting exercise because, as I mentioned before, at the moment I'm struggling with certain things. And this has been a useful exercise for me in writing the episode, but in articulating and verbalising it to you, then perhaps there's something additional that you can gain from me going through it now. Looking back, the past. So, if you, particularly in my, whenever I write down what it is that I've done, whenever I need to remind myself of the things that I've achieved, I'm always surprised. I look back and think, Jesus, fuck, how did you do that? Like that's an accomplishment. That is crazy. And I sometimes think, well, could I do that now? Wow, like I'm impressed, and I admire my previous self for having been able to do something that I look at now and think, bloody hell. And then I take a second to appreciate that. I love the quote, a man never steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river and he is not the same man. Yes, we'll take that with a pinch of salt, because in this instance, I am different from the person that I was. But you know what? That was still me. I still did that. No one else did that. I did it. And I can't take that away from myself, whether I like it or not. Another element that's useful when looking back at the past and looking at how we've grown as individuals, we can look back to who we were then, but if we put ourselves in that person's shoes and look at who we are now, everybody that I know personally and what they've been through and what I've been through, I don't know a single person who can't put themselves in that position and think, at least on their behalf, 5 years ago, the person that you were would be so proud of who you are today. I look at Ben, I look at my friends, I look at my family. The person that you were would be so proud of who you have become and who you are today. So let's look at growth in the present now, where we are today. And I've mentioned that I've got some stuff going on. Some of them are new problems. Sure, life is happening at me, and I'm trying to roll with the punches and go with the flow. But some of them, whether I like to admit it or not, are old problems as well. Some things that I've been dealing with for a long time, which still find a way to rear its ugly head and give me grief from time to time. One of the ways in which we can practice growth is learning not always to resist, but instead learning to live with. Luke mentioned it about his CPTSD, and I've learnt about it through my depression. Don't always resist. If it's easier and better for your peace of mind and your well-being to instead of swim up the river, but instead to move with the flow of the river. And this can be in the context of yourself, of your problems, of how you're looking at your life, whatever it may be. Sometimes the key to growth isn't always to resist and to overcome, but to accept and to go with the flow of. So when we're looking at our present, another thing we can do, again, is to look at where we are and look at how far we've come. We've put ourselves in the shoes of who we were before, but stop for a second. Pause on the mountain that you're climbing at the moment. Take a look back. And while you might not be at the top and the view might not be as stunning as it could be when you're there, look at how far you've come. You had a choice. And right now, you could be at the very bottom of that mountain. But you're not. You chose to climb it. Again, nobody asked you to. No one told you to. But you've chosen to do it. So take a second and appreciate how far you've come. Everything that you've had to do to overcome it. All those other mountains which seemed that they were impassable when you were climbing up them. Look at how many of them now stand beneath you. Look how far you've come. Another step in the journey to growth in our present moment is something that Alex Waite has helped me appreciate in the recent interview that we did with him, is that sometimes growth is just a reframe away. Now, what do I mean by that? As he speaks about, it's taking your problems and then appreciating that you have a choice about how you perceive and receive those problems. You can let it be the ugly thing in the corner which is giving you a lot of aggravation and making you stressed out and tense. Or the analogy that I came up with, which is actually really weirdly accurate, was that, you know, in Harry Potter, I think it was the third one, The Prisoner of Azkaban, there was that cabinet where whatever it was that you were most afraid of jumps out at you and then you cast a spell and it turns into a silly,
ridiculous,
facetious and childlike thing. We're like, oh, okay, well, I have just, using this analogy, you have just reframed your problem. You have reframed your fear. You have taken the spider that jumps out of Ron and you've given it a top hat and roller skates. Whatever it may be, you have the power to reframe your problems into something digestible, something that you can work with, something that you can do something about. So reframe your problems. And remember, you get to choose how you look at it and how you perceive it, not the other way around. It doesn't dictate anything to you. You get to choose your attitude towards it moving forward. So, lastly, the future and growth. What can we do about that? I've always said that the future is almost a concept that doesn't exist. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no way that we can change it. And oftentimes when we worry, thinking about the future is almost pointless because we're worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet, which, is anxiety. So what can we do? What is there that we can do about growth in the future? How can we use that? Well, it can be about appreciating that we've got to take things one day at a time. The future can be very imposing. It can be very scary because it's everything that's going to happen ever for the rest of our existence and lives. Fuck that. Okay. But as we mentioned, we can't do anything about that. But what can we do? Well, we can do something right now, in our present. So let's take the anxieties of the future and use that as an opportunity to forget it, park it to one side and do something now. I saw a quote recently by Alex Harmozy, action alleviates anxiety. Do something now to get rid of that fear. Start working, and that will ease that pressure of the future. Another instance is choose your hard. If something's bothering you about the future and you're worrying about it, what can you do now? What are the seeds that you could sow? There's a quote that I love. It might be paraphrasing, but please be patient with me. The worth of a day is not determined by the harvest that you reap, but by the seeds that you sow. What can you do today to grow in your future? What gardens can you plant? What seeds can you plant that will tomorrow become a garden? What can you do today to benefit you tomorrow? Whether that be completing tasks, doing housework, or going to the gym, building on yourself, reading a book, building on your mind, meditating, building on your soul. If you do these things consistently, if you learn to love them, then I think I'm not going to say you'll meet less resistance in the future because there's no way of telling. But you'll be better within yourself. You'll be stronger, you'll be more at peace, you'll be more mindful, and you might have built some tools along the way. So as we draw to the end of the episode, let's just remind ourselves that when the sky feels like it's falling down on us, when everything feels like it's going to shit and nothing is going right, take a second. Let's focus on growth, whatever lens that may come through, because sometimes, as C.S. Lewis reminded us, it can be brutal, it can be bitter, but ultimately, those hard lessons are going to be the most valuable ones to us. So, choose growths, regardless of which lens you look at it through the past, the present, or the future. There's always an opportunity to learn, there's always an opportunity to grow. When things become unpredictable and daunting in the future, remember that instead of letting that hang over your head, perhaps it's an invite to act now, an opportunity to build a better tomorrow. And in our present, we can manage what we can manage, and we can only do the best that we can do. And in our past, take a step back and look at how far you've come. You'll probably be surprised. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you like what we do, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, or a share. A share would be good, thank you. And if you feel like supporting us a little bit more, please consider contributing to our Buy Me a Coffee. Ultimately, that will help us do more of this. Be able to write more episodes, spend more time recording, spend more time getting this message out to more people. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed. I've been Sam, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.